The year, 1988. Ray Leonard finds himself nearing the sweet end of his professional career, but after promising to retire on multiple occasions, he still has unfinished business with an arrogant fighter whom he needed to teach a lesson in humility. One would think his career had been enough to retire in glory, but he decided to make an announcement that would send shivers down the fans' spines at that time. Welcome. In today's video, I'll take you back to when Ray Leonard confronted Donny Lalonde. Being a fight that has survived decades in the memory of boxing enthusiasts, we'll have the luxury of reliving Ray Leonard's iconic fighting style. I hope you're comfortable because our new adventure begins here. The original Golden Boy is how Donny Lalonde is still referred to today. Being a maniac in the ring, he entered armed with blinding punching power and points to prove. Before his encounter with Ray Leonard, he made sure to let disrespectful words flow towards him. "He doesn't know when to quit," he asserted while elevating himself, positioning himself as the great victor of the match. Lalonde was confident that he would be the fighter who would force Leonard to stay true to his constant promise of retiring. But fate could turn in favor of the veteran and solidify him as one of the best fighters of the 80s by taking home another belt. November 7th was the agreed-upon date to live this legendary encounter. The fight took place in an outdoor stadium with a capacity for nearly 15,400 people at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. Despite Lalonde's smear campaign, Leonard remained the favorite by 3.5 to 1. Lalonde had to successfully defend the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship for the second time and fight for the vacant inaugural WBC Super Middleweight Championship if he didn't want to eat his words. Accompanied by the legendary Richard Steele, both fighters stepped into the ring to seal their fate. First round. Lalonde's fearless left broke the ice after the bell rang. Keeping his distance, Leonard made sure to study his opponent's stance before fully engaging in the fight.
And waiting. That right leg did. They dig down to that body.
After gathering enough information, he showed Lalonde how to throw punches by sending a powerful right straight to his chin. While the defender threw the most punches, the challenger seemed to have the most accurate ones. If the fight continued to escalate in this manner, Lalonde would have serious problems.
And he came in, right after Lenny, which I like to see. You said this man ain't got a left hand.
Now they begin to mix it up inside.
Second round. The formula seemed to repeat itself for the second episode. With Leonard fighting from the safety of distance, he kept his opponent moving while entering when he deemed it the right moment to attack.
That corner, which was good.
By the time the exchange of punches occurred, a dirty fighting style contaminated the ring. Lalonde took Leonard by the back of the neck, dragging him into the corner. After Richard Steele's intervention, Leonard returned the favor.
Good left hook by Lalonde.
There you go.
And some good punches inside by Lalonde.
Yeah, I think he hurt him.
If Lalonde tried to press it in. Good jab by Leonard.
Third round. Thanks to his good foot coordination, Leonard continued to wear down Lalonde during the third round. At this point, the exchanges of punches seemed to occur more frequently. Everything pointed to it being a battle of endurance, with the victor being the fighter who didn't succumb to fatigue. For Leonard, the punches were little more than a distraction. His experience had helped him to study his opponent perfectly and come up with a clear strategy to achieve his goal.
That alone could be.
Leonard missed with the right. Lalonde landed to the.
Fourth round. Leonard was ready to adopt a more intense stance. Tightening the screws of his offensive, he threw brief combinations to gauge Lalonde's guard at the beginning of the round. Once again, he demonstrated that quality is better than quantity, knowing when to direct his fists at the arrogant fighter, whose attacks had been nothing more than sloppy. Unexpectedly, in an attempt to dodge a right hook, the first knockdown occurred. Leonard had stumbled and fallen sitting on the canvas. Due to the blow before the fall, Steele had no choice but to start the safety count. By the time the fight resumed, the clinch between the fighters was a clash of frustration over the mistake made and euphoria on Lalonde's part, who thought he had most of the work done. Fifth round. With a knockdown and his face bloodied, the situation seemed to not clear up for Leonard at the start of the 5th episode. Lalonde's ego continued to rise, making him even more dangerous. Both fighters had abandoned fighting at a distance. Lalonde's taunts had taken effect. Now Leonard had come out ready for war. During the last minute of the round, one of the highest points of intensity of the fight was probably experienced.
Fold up, we run out of gas. Ow.
Right hand land.
Gonna be wishing he had Angelo in that corner. Tremendous.
Leonard. And another right hand. Lalonde comes back.
6th round. Leonard lost most rounds on the judges' scorecard, but his explosion of sadism and violence in the previous round had ensured him at least one. Inside him, he knew this was the path he had to follow if he wanted to turn things around. And so he did. The combinations to Lalonde's body and head came without delay. Now, it was the champion who hesitated to approach and initiate an exchange. For the first time since the beginning of the fight, he felt like his title could leave the ring that night without him.
He knows that he is in all likelihood behind. Right hand landed for Lalonde inside, chopping overhand right.
7th round. After the bell rang, Lalonde angrily threw his fists at Leonard. It seemed that the sports rivalry had escalated to a personal one. Both wanted to prove to their opponent what they were made of. But when Leonard began to counterattack, the arrogant champion had no choice but to slow down his offensive pace. Lalonde tried to mock Leonard by stretching his left hand and placing it on his forehead, but quickly received a worthy punishment for his audacity. Solid blows landed on his head and body, shaking him until he was against the ropes.
Right hand looked like good body shot. That's something we haven't seen by either man, really.
Leonard showed the jester that the difference in height meant nothing by executing a sadistic flurry of punches from which Lalonde could only escape by being saved by the bell.
7 years ago. Round 7 comes to an end.
8th round. Everything seemed to start falling into place in Leonard's favor for the beginning of the 8th episode. Now it was he who broke the ice with the firmness of his fists. His skill forced Lalonde to absorb the hard bombs he dropped on his body. The champion of the early rounds had disappeared, and only flashes of him remained in counterattacks where he couldn't make significant advances. Leonard had ensured another round on the judges' scorecard, but not even he could see what would happen around the corner.
Big a scorecard mountain does Leonard have to climb, and how much?
9th round. Leonard's left seemed to have a direct line to Lalonde's chin. The champion started the round with a low guard, but seemed not to notice it. Lalonde sought a weak point to slip his sloppy punches through, but he was taking too long. While he did so, Leonard already knew where to direct his attacks. Lalonde executed a flurry of punches so weak that his challenger could absorb them with ease. After letting him enjoy himself for a moment, Leonard made sure to make it clear to the talkative champion that he was the one who had taken control of the fight. Against the ropes, he showed him what a powerful flurry of punches was. Lalonde tried to escape it by throwing himself at Leonard's body, but even at that moment, he neglected his guard.
Lalonde backs up against the ropes. Leonard landing at will.
Let's hope they don't stop the
Stepping back, Leonard delivered the coup de grace to the talker in the form of a deadly left hook that sent him straight to the canvas.
Let's hope they don't stop the bout.
With Richard Steele keeping him away from the inert body, Lalonde used the last of his strength to get up. After the fight resumed, it only took seconds for a new blow from Leonard to make him fall even.
Stay alive.
Great right hand by Leonard. Lalonde staying up only through the fourth.
More dramatically, Lalonde tried to get up, but his body didn't respond. Moribund, he needed immediate assistance. In the other corner, Leonard celebrated having secured a place in boxing's golden history. After his victory, Leonard became the second fighter in history to win world championships in 5 weight divisions. Just 3 days earlier, Thomas Hearn stole from him the honor of being the first to achieve such a feat with his victory over James Kitchen, winning the inaugural WBO Super Middleweight Championship. If you've made it this far, I thank you. If you enjoyed my story, remember that there's no better way to support my content than by leaving your like on the video. What do you think was the mistake in Lalonde's offense that led to such a resounding defeat after starting winning all rounds on the judges' scorecards? I'll read you in the comments.